Why time is relative. Let's talk about it. Lately, I've been feeling that time's been a little bit weird. In some months, it goes by super fast. Others, snail, slow crawl pace. I was sent this really interesting article about why time feels so weird in 2020. And you may have guessed it, some of it has to deal with the current crazy environment we're living in. And rather than keep it to myself, I wanted to share it with you. So come a little closer and let's check it out together. So here you have it, why time feels so weird in 2020. And this gentleman here, Fielding Cage, talks about this illusion of time. And in this article, they go through a few principles of why things feel so weird with a few examples. So let's try out the first one. Observe the following objects as usual. Circle, circle, more circles. Ooh, square. Compare with the circles, what was the duration of the nested square? Actually, it kind of seemed a little bit longer. Whoa, okay, the durations were actually the same. Huh. So they say here that the nested square is often thought of having last longer, and that's because of the oddball effect. And this is simply because the repetitive object is already ingrained in our memory, and thus we pay attention to it less. And it feels like it passes by more quickly. Huh, that's so interesting. And I think that's why, I don't know if you feel the same way, but ever since March happened, when all this new, stuff happening across the world, the other months tend to fly by relatively fast. And maybe that's because of the repetitiveness of staying in and seeing the same things, the same surroundings. Maybe the only thing that's new is the news and the cases that go up. But yeah, oddball effect, there you go. Rolling forward, how attention and emotions distort time. Okay, here we go, let's take the test. All right, we're gonna observe 3 of the following objects. Circle. Whoa, goes out, whoa. Oh, wow, jeez. It's like smacks us in the face. Which felt longer? Okay. I mean, when it smacked us in the face, it seemed like it was pretty, it was there for a long time. So I'd say expanding the circle. Wow, okay. All the durations were the same. Why so? Explanation. Things that grab our attention or require more attention feel much longer. That perfectly explains the huge circle that came towards us. Man, it did feel longer. And interestingly enough, this also applies to emotions and how much attention we pay to them. It's very difficult to, through a test, create emotion, but as I said here, that emotion can also influence our perception of time. Passage of time estimates correlate best with moods people have. If you have a good time, and don't we all love good times, time flies. If you're sad, lonely, then time tracks, or in this case, I guess lags. Time flies when you're having fun. Totally get it. My hunch is that when you're having fun, you're really focused on the moment. You're focused on the people around you, or you're focused on the activity or task at hand, and you're just totally just immersing yourself in it, and thus not keeping track of time. When times are not so happy or good, your mind may be wandering and grasping at everything, and that's why it seems to drag, because you're just counting down the moments in which the time will pass, so you don't have to really live through that crappiness. What I'm getting from this article is really the theme around focus. Whatever we focus our energy on, that's where our time is being spent. And it's just a matter of perspective. It's a matter of how we use our time, how we see our time. And the more self-aware we are of the time that we spend or don't, the better we can grasp and utilize the time that we have together. But if you're interested in more of the subject around time, I'd highly recommend The Order of Time by Carlo Rovelli. And it's all about challenging how we all experience and perceive time in a very interestingly poetic way. You know, think physics meets philosophy. And next up, Your Brain is a Time Machine, The Neuroscience and Physics of Time by Dean Buonomano. He's an American neuroscientist, and he delves into how our mind is actually an organ to help us with time tracking and whatnot. It's a little more scientific in nature, but that complementing Carlo's book should round off some really interesting tidbits for you to chew on. I'll also be sharing the link in the description below. This way you can go through all the exercises and come back, let us know how you fared and what your perception of time might be. By all means, if you're also a time nerd like myself, I'd love to know some other articles, links, and maybe book recommendations on things to add to my time thesis hypothesis knowledge base. But apart from that, hey, listen, would love a few of these if you have some to spare. And while you're at it, if you haven't already, please subscribe and check off the notification bell. My name's Truman. Thanks for spending this time with me on checking out this really interesting article about time. And I'll see you in the next video.